Well, okay, good. Welcome to our REAP Prosperity, or Golden Rule Prosperity Workshop. We're going tonight. This is our conference call, and we're going to give you a special tutorial on how to edit the spreadsheet. And so, Dixie, kind of like show everybody how many tabs there are in this worksheet, and kind of explain the tabs just briefly, how there are years and expenses and capital things, and then we're going to show you guys how to edit every other page on a couple of things. So go ahead, Dixie, and talk about how complicated the sheet is. Ooh, perfect.
My table of contents. And I just bolded every other one because there's so much that it's hard to see.
Oh, I like that.
So, so we need to go to...
And just for the heck of it, would you please, let's do these in red and show everybody on an overview. Which ones are we going to edit? And make them red ink for now if you want to, and then you can come back and unread them when we finish them. But let's give everybody an overview of what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Cool.
We're going to edit 2021.
Okay, now you can control click. You can control click on all the cells you're going to edit and colorize them.
Okay.
So click there and then control click on the other one. And you should be able to colorize all of them. I made a liar out of me.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, you were able to do it. Yeah, just move the color.
I did it.
Good. I thought maybe for a minute. It moved the color palette down to the bottom of the prompt instead of the top of the prompt because you were down lower on the page. All right, so you guys, we're going to edit those 4 sheets. And what we're going to do is show you, and first of all, we have to determine, we've got to look at each one of those sheets and determine which lines we're going to edit, because we're going to add an expense, and we don't want to do all 4 sheets separately. If we could, we'd do all 4 sheets at one time, but we're not going to be able to do all 4 sheets at one time because the sheets are not exactly the same format. So we have to be a little bit careful. So let's take a look at those sheets, Dixie.
Okay. So 2020 expenses we've done. We need to do...
Okay, we already made the changes in 2020. Let's show everybody what we're trying to change.
Yes. Well, we just basically added a tractor down payment.
Okay, now we were putting things in red. Yeah. If we want to put tractor down payment we did, and then we made a bunch of changes there, didn't we? Crap.
Yeah. So I have to go through and just change
those by hand.
Insurance. Yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. So yeah, we took out it. Looking at it again, which I'm always glad when we look at it again because I was I was shooting myself in the foot because I was charging in the budget and charging monthly for things that on this first year I need upfront.
Okay, so let me re-explain that. So if you guys look at column B, if you guys look at column B, because Dixie's actually thinking about a couple things here. If you guys look at column B, which we can't see right now because of that menu, but if you look at column B, those are the budget amounts for the expended for that year. If those budget amounts are supposed to be paid each month by monthly cash flow, they would appear across columns H through P because April, May, June, July are the months coming up ahead, right? But they're not going to be paid monthly. They're going to be paid in one lump sum from loan proceeds that are coming from a lender. So therefore, she had to go through and delete all of the amounts that were listed in column H through P on lines 2 through 16. Do you want to highlight those? I can't do anything.
2 through 18.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Maybe I can. Maybe I can pull up my annotation tool now that I think about it. Where is that annotation tool?
I'm sorry, that was a change made because what?
Because instead of paying for these expenses monthly, they're going to be paid in one lump sum out of the loan proceeds.
Yeah, because these are all things that need to be done immediate. These are immediate improvements.
Got it. The ones in yellow.
Yes, in yellow with the little, I don't know if you can see, there's a little orange box around them.
They can see the
So
orange
I
box.
won't be paying those out monthly. I'll be doing that like right off the bat.
Got it.
And you'll see that some are yellow without a gold box around them. It means that they are not going to be borrowed from the loan. The gold box means they're going to be paid in one lump sum from the loan, like on line 23B. That's going to be paid from the loan. But look at line 25B, and then you look to the right, it shows monthly expenses paid. That's going to be paid monthly out of the income from the property. So anything in a gold box is being paid one lump sum from a loan proceeds. Anything that does not have the gold box is going to be paid monthly from cash flow. Did everybody see that? And what we have to do now is we're going to buy a tractor. And so up in capital improvements on this year, we have down $5,000 in one lump sum for the down payment. But once that down payment is made, there's going to be a monthly payment on the tractor each month. Doesn't that payment going to begin in April?
Yes, it will. And he already, he has the monthly payment. It's going to be $430 a month. So I do know that. And it's a little over 5%, but nonetheless, his monthly payment is going to be $430. So that'll,
and that would begin in May then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably so.
All right. So let's plug $430 in May. So it'll be $5,000 paid in one lump sum from the loan proceeds, and then the $430 will be paid each month from the cash flow on the property. And the reason why that's happening is because the loan on the tractor is a 4% interest rate, and the loan to get the $5,000 is going to be much higher than 4%. You know, it could be double that, it could be more. So, and now
this is going to mess up these numbers, though.
What numbers? No, because all you have to do now.
Okay.
Let me see. What do you have to do now? You're right. It could mess that up because that 5,000 is supposed to represent. So it should be 5,000 plus those monthly payments, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to screw things up because because the 22,620 is going to be different. You see, guys, look on line 19. The 22,620 is the total amount for the annual budget, including the ones paid from monthly and the ones paid from the proceeds of the loan. And this is unique because it's going to be paid in a lump at the beginning, but then there's going to be this monthly payment. So in every other category, if you look down there, the amounts in column Q are the same as the amounts in column B. Well, it's going to be unusual because on line 4, it's going to be, you know, Q is going to be different because it's going to include B, not just be a factor of B. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that before, Dixie.
Right, me either.
So the sum of that plus B4. You have to put in parentheses there. I'm going to click on that 8440. Let me see what that formula looks like. Okay, B4 plus. Okay, good. But now how does that affect those totals?
I4 through P4.
That's interesting.
See, that's not right.
Yeah, well, remember we had an error.
It might be. Yeah.
I'm
going to undo that, and that's a whole different concern. I'm just going to think about this. But right now, we need to fix my other sheets. I'm more worried about that at the moment.
And how do you want to fix the other sheets? You're going to add in a tractor payment on the other sheets, right?
Yes, on the other sheets, because I don't know how to
good.
add in the
so
down
what we're going to do, guys,
and the tractor payment.
So what we're going to do is we're going to add that line 4, the tractor payment. It's a capital expense on the down payment, but it's going to be a monthly expense thereafter. Got it? So what we have to do is we have to go down into the general expenses.
So, okay, so that's where the payment needs to go anyway.
That's perfect. That's where the payment needs to go anyway. So what we need to do, hold it. Good. Where are we going to add the payment? So we need to add it in
General
2020.
Expenses.
All right. Which line do you want to add it on? We kind of pick line 27 or 26 before. It doesn't matter. we're going to put it in there somewhere, right? Shall we put it in line 27? So you guys, we're going to put it on telephone. So in 2020, we're using telephone, and we're going to insert a row there. So telephone will be moved down to 20. Wait, don't do it now. Don't do it now. Because we're going to try to do it in multiple sheets in a row. So we're going to take 27, and we're going to add a row right there, and we're going to insert the tractor trailer on line 20, the tractor payments on line 27, and we're going to make sure we can do that on multiple sheets. So now that's 2020. Let's check 2021. Telephone is line 26.
Telephone's on line 26.
Good. All right. And now let's check 2022. Now, you guys, we didn't do this before, but when you're building these kinds of sheets, make sure you keep your formats exactly the same. So if you add a line in one sheet, you add a line in all the sheets, so that way the formulas stay the same and life is easy. We didn't do that. Dixie built and I built each one of these sheets individually, and then came back and found out that we wanted to make global changes. And if you don't build the sheets globally, it's tough to make global changes. So in year 2022, the telephone is on which line? It's on line 23.
2020. Yeah, on 23. And I think the rest of the sheets, it's on 23 because we already checked that, but we'll check it again.
Well, yeah, because it's a tutorial, so we'll check.
23.
Is 23. Year 23. 2023 is line 23. Interesting.
And 2024 is line 23. So 24, 23, and 22 are on line 23.
Okay, so 22. Year 22, year 23, and year 24 on line 23. So we could change all three of those sheets simultaneously is what I'm suggesting. Now, I think what we may, and because sheet years 20 and 21 are so close, what if we went ahead and added a line into 2021 so that the telephone was down to line 27, and then we'll try to change 21 and 20 at the same time. So we would want to add a line up around, below, like at line 16, we'd want to add a line, or at line 19, we'd want to add a line, or maybe at line 13, we'd want to add a line. You added a line in 7 to kind of space things out. Where do you want to add a line? It's a nonsense line. It can be added anywhere. Okay, now hold it.
I guess I'll just
hold it. Hold it. You guys, when you add a row like Dixie's about to do, so Dixie, I want you to do this because I want people to see the difference, and so we're going to do it and undo it. If I add a row at line 19, when it creates a row, it'll bring the formatting down from the line above it, and we don't want that. Because if we do that, if we do that, we've got to go through and reformat the whole damn thing. So undo that. And what you want to do is insert a line at line 20, because then that will copy line 19 down, and then we have no bogus formatting issues. So now we're going to insert it there. Good. And now, you see, does anybody have any questions on that? Here's tutorial point number 1. When you copy a row, it'll bring down the formatting from the line above it. So if you're going to put a row in, make sure you're putting a row that has a format that you want. So be a little creative there. Sometimes if you haven't got varied formatting on a page, sometimes you got no choice. You have to copy it and then reformat it. But now, line 27 is the telephone, right? And we're on 2021. All right, so now we've clicked on 2021, and so now shift left click on 2020. Shift left click on 2020 expenses. Now,
on 2020 expenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now look, you guys, and shift left click. Oh, I'm not sorry.
Okay.
And now go ahead and control left click on the 18, 20, 21 there, on tab 18. Control left click on 18.
On gross income?
Yeah, control. Because see, you guys, now notice what happened there. 2021 is highlighted, it's active, and 2020 is active. What Dixie did, so go ahead, Dixie, and click on 2021 again. We're going to turn off the highlighting on 2020. Oh, okay, click on 2021 and then, It's not going to do it until you click on 2021. Click on on any other tab. Click on any other tab. Yeah, we want to turn off.
2021?
Okay, yeah.
I'm on 2021.
Yeah. I know.
Right
click
here.
on 2022 because what we want to do is turn off the highlight. So click on 2022. Good. Bam. Now that turned off the highlight. Now go ahead and click on 2021, and I want you guys to see what happens here. Click on 2021, and instead of shift clicking on 2020, which will highlight all the tabs between, instead control click on 2020. Control left click on 2020. Now, for those of you who are very astute, you saw that when Dixie shift clicked it, it highlighted all three of those, and then when she control clicked on tab number 18, put your cursor over tab number 18 so they can see the 18, Dixie. Yeah, when she control clicked it there, it turned it off. So what I'm going to, and if this doesn't work right now, we're going to cancel the tutorial. I'm going to propose to you now that we can edit tab 17 and tab 19 simultaneously. And I'm going to say we can do that because they're both highlighted, and it's not going to affect 18 in between. And we're going to double check that. All right, you guys? So have you saved? Save right now, Dixie, so that we have all the work saved up to this point. Go ahead, Susan. What did you going to say?
So you said shift click or shift click, okay, on the tab that you want to change. So you shift clicked 17 and 19 to get them both to highlight at the same time. Yes?
No.
Okay.
But you're bringing up the exact point I was trying to make.
Control click.
Control.
Yeah,
okay.
if I shift click, it'll highlight everything between. If I control click, it'll only highlight the one I've clicked. So that should answer your question.
Does all. I had to walk away. The pool guy was here. And so I came back and went, oh. Okay, so control click each.
Yeah, does each individual cell. Do you guys remember that I invited Dixie when we were doing the table of contents that she could control click on the two cells she wanted to change, and then when she made the format change, it would change everything that was control clicked? That's exactly the same thing. If you're working on cells in a row or cells in a column, if you click on one cell and shift click on the other cell, it'll highlight everything between the two clicks. If you click on cell A and then shift click on cell D, it'll highlight A, B, C, D. If you click on row 2 and shift click on row 4, it'll highlight 2, 3, and 4. By the same token, if you click on B2 and D4, it'll highlight everything between. It'll create a block. That's a shortcut for highlighting a block. But control click does not highlight everything in between. It only highlights the item you're clicking. So right now, you've saved it, right, Dixie? You've saved your spreadsheet?
I did.
Good.
I did.
So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a new row at 27. So insert row, and this will bring down the formatting from above, which is exactly what we want. Now, just for the heck of it, that we did, that should be on both sheets. So we're going to continue to go as though we're on both sheets and everything's working. If not, we're going to throw this away. Go ahead and type in there tractor monthly payment. And what's happening now, you guys, we just created a row 27 in both spreadsheets, and as she's typing, she's actually creating the description in both spreadsheets simultaneously. Okay, now she's going to go ahead and enter in the monthly payments. You got that down as 430, isn't that correct? Isn't that correct, Dixie?
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. I'm muting and I'm asking questions.
Okay, good.
430.
And all right. And the way she came to that, there's a little echo going on. So if you're not muted, please mute. Okay, Scott, I'm going to mute you. All right. So so now we're going to check it. So now as she's entering that in now, go ahead. All right, now what she did there was she said, okay, I want the value in cell F to be equal to the value in cell E, and now she can drag that all the way across. Good. And now she wants to total that, and she wants the same formula up above, so she's going to drag that formula down. Good. And now you can drag down. I think isn't the 24,000 new information? So the 430 is new information. So make the 430 yellow and bold. Isn't that right? So highlight the 150. Well, you can do that, or you can take your paintbrush and do it. In other words, she could have gone to the 150, taken a paintbrush and painted the 430, but she chose to change the background color first and then change it to bold. She could have done that in one step by using the paintbrush.
Because Grandma does it the hard way almost every time, but I do eventually, after I do it enough, I remember. But
okay. Now, do you want to drag the 24,000 down? Because that will then use the same formula. Look at the formula. Oh wait, you don't want to drag $24,000 down. What you want is you want to grab the value in column Q. So yeah, you're just gonna have to go equals column Q, and that you don't want to drag it down because you don't want that yellow. You want that white. And let me share why I said that. In this spreadsheet, yellow means this is where I entered the data the first time. So you can look on this sheet and know that the 430 is the new data, the 150 is the new data in column E, the 75 is new data, and the 100 is new data, that all the rest is some kind of reference formula. Over in column B, the 24,000 is new data. Each of the 24,000s is new data. So they're yellow. And then, of course, the 5100 is going to be not new data. It's some kind of formula. You know that because it's not yellow, right? It's white. And you can go ahead and click on the 5160 and let's see what the formula is. I want to make sure everybody sees this. Okay, so look up in the formula bar. You see up in the formula bar? Go ahead and click up there, Dixie, so that everybody sees. Wave your cursor around so that everybody can see where the formula bar is, right there. And that says Q27, and that's exactly the value we want. Everybody got it? Now, you guys, go ahead and hit enter. What I'm going to share with you now is that we just edited spreadsheet 2020 and spreadsheet 2021 at the same time. So what I'm going to invite you to do is, in order to turn off the dual highlight, click on 2021 gross income. That will turn off 2021 gross income. That will turn off the shift highlights. Good. Now we know, well, go ahead and click on 2020 expenses and see, there it says it. It says tractor payment on line 27, 5160, 430 is the new payment, and it's going thereafter. Now, how come it's in the white ones?
Because under January. Do you want it under January?
No, it should have gone under, it should have started there, shouldn't it, Dixie?
May? Isn't that what you decided?
Yeah.
Because we're already in April, so it's off. There you go.
Yeah. And then this is going to be an equals, that value in the yellow. Good, perfect. And then you're going to drag that all, oh, you don't have to because that's what it was. Dixie, what about the values in January and February? They're already paid, right? And those are perfect values because that's what's being paid? Or should all the values in January and February be 0? No, they should be an amount that you're actually paying, right?
Well, we're not paying. We're in this year, 2020.
Yeah, and you've already paid January expenses. What? Mm-hmm. You didn't pay anything in January and February?
Not for the tractor.
No, but how about the other expenses?
Yeah, they're right. We didn't pay for advertising or anything. If it's blank, we didn't pay for it yet.
All right, good. You guys, so you got this? The January and February and March are white because they're actual paid expenses. Got it? There were no expenses paid on line 23 and 24, but there were expenses paid on 25 and 26. Everybody got that? Now, the green stuff means we haven't had it yet. So everything green is projected. So, yeah, so you want to paintbrush all of that to make sure it's all green. Everybody got it?
But your tractor payment, you said you didn't want to start until May, right?
That's right, April.
You have it started in April.
Are we starting the tractor payment in April or May? We're starting in May, Dixie.
And then I put a question in the chat.
That's true. It will be May, won't it? Yeah, I got you.
Right.
Sorry, I'm muting myself because there's...
Do you want to know a quick way to do this? Hold it. You want to know a quick way to do it? Because if you do that, it'll turn everything yellow. Undo. So here's a quick way to do it. Shift click on November. Shift left click on the November payment. shift left click on the November payment. Good. Hit Control X. And now click in May. Now click in May. And hit Control Victor. Bammo. See? And if she would have done it any other way, she would have had to change those formulas. So I anticipated how many formulas would be accurate, and that's an advanced move, and you can figure it out one day if you want to. All right, now, unfortunately, we didn't do those things in 2021 expenses, but let's see if the tractor payment's in there, and let's see if the 420 is in there, or the 430 is in there. Let's check out 2022.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, 2021
because,
expenses. Okay, you have a second.
I had to do that because it was giving me an error on the formula, but I
Good
could have done it another way. I know, but anyway.
Oh, you did good. You did good.
So now
check on,
you want me to click 2021?
On 2021. And now let's look on line 27. And look at there, it says it, tractor payment, 51, starting at the beginning, 430, and going all the way across.
But this should be yellow.
You need to link it back to the other page.
Yeah, you started it January again.
Well, that's okay because this is 2021.
Because it's in 2021.
Yep, I forgot you switched years.
So you're going to go to line 27. I don't know why you scrolled up, but there you go. Find 2027. Good. And then that can be green.
No, I just need to, paint it. Okay.
Good. And then in 2021, is that a new expense? The telephone. So what she's doing there is she's saying, okay, each year I can go in if the telephone bill changes, I'm going to change it. So, she's putting in each year she's putting in a new telephone bill amount.
It's not a new number. I don't know why it's like that.
Well, it shouldn't be yellow.
Honestly.
So you see,
it should
you guys,
not be yellow.
Right on. Well, check it. 430, good. And check the 150. Oh.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. It is new.
Because it goes back to, no.
It says about, it's a hard, oh. Okay, good. It goes back to the previous sheet.
Yes.
So now, you guys, as she's going along in 2020, if the phone bill changes in November, when she plugs in that change, the change will already up and across every year in the future. If the phone bill goes down in November, it'll go down every year in the future because it's all linked. That is all linked to 2020. Okay. The yellow values are new values that occur that year. So check on the $75 on column E, line 23. Is that hard? Is that a hard value? Okay, good. That's fine. You can enter them hard each year. You can link them to the previous year. If they're linked, they're green. If they're hard values, then they're yellow. Got it, everybody? So what we did here, guys, was we just edited two spreadsheets simultaneously. We edited 2020 and 2021 simultaneously. Now we're going to edit 22, 23, and 24 simultaneously. You ready? So now we want to click on 2023 and control click on 2020. I'm sorry. Click on 2022, control click on expenses for 2023, and then control click on expenses for 2024, which is what she did. Do you see that? And now use your elevator. Okay, good. So now we're going to insert a new row in front of the telephone on line 23. So highlight row 23. Insert the row. Good. Now you guys, that will be a new row on everything. Now hold it, Dixie. I'm going to show you another trick. You ready for another trick?
Sure.
I want you to go back to 2021 expenses. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off our control clicks. We're going back to 2021 expenses. I want you to highlight the tractor payment on line 27. So click on row 27. Just click on row 27. We're taking the whole frickin' row, dude. All right. Control C. All right. Now, click on 2023. I'm sorry, 2022. Just left click on 2022 expenses. Good. Now, control click on 2023 expenses and 2024 expenses. All right, good. Now, click on, you're already there. You're already at 23A. Go ahead and hit Control Victor, and we're going to paste it all the way across there. Voila.
Whoops.
No, that's okay.
Nope.
Because
okay.
it's trying to catch a relative value, and click on E22. Click on E22. I'm sorry. Yeah, tractor. I want to click on the tractor payment. So E23. E23. Click on E23.
E23.
All right, good. And see that value? It says tab 17, P23. Well, that's not right, is it? So, because we already figured out it's on P27, right? Because we pasted on P27. So go up to there, Dixie, into that formula bar and change 23 to 27. Now, I know what I just did blew you all away. Well, it blew me away. And now hit enter, and there you go. You got your 430 from P21, and it went in. Now, let's double check this and make sure that it went in right all the way across the board. First of all, what are you doing? Please don't do that.
I'm fixing my border.
Well, maybe we can show you a fast way to fix a border. What are you doing there? Change the color?
Nothing. Just moving out of the way.
Okay, because if you're going to change the color of that row, well, you could. All right, good. Dragging it. Do you see how she's doing that, you guys? Take the color you want and just make an extended block and cover it over. Beautiful. All right, dynamite. So now let's double check this. Now, what are you doing there? Because
I'm fixing a border. It's okay.
Okay, well, you could have done that or you could have used the paintbrush. Either one. Paintbrush is easier than fixing borders. Okay, so you guys, so now we have 2023, because that's the sheet we're looking at. Oh, we don't know. We're going to have to check each one of these sheets and make sure they're okay? So click on 2023 gross income. What you've got to do is turn off the control click highlighting. Now we got to check each year to make sure it's good. So here we go. 23 tractor. Please click on E23. Good. And it says refer back to P27, dynamite. And then it goes through the whole year, and that's perfect. All the balances change. Great. Click now on expenses for 2023. Check line 23, tractor, that, and now check the value there. Look at 27. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do with relative values. Check on expenses for 2024 and make sure all the numbers are right. There's the tractor, there's your total. Please click on E23, and there it says P27 from tab 17. Now, here's what's interesting, Dixie. It kept tab 17. It's not making a relative tab. So if you want to, you can go into there and say tab 23. So see where it says, make that tab 23. And that way it'll be carried forward from the year, from that year, I think. Hit enter. Oh, hell, it's not going to do it. Hit cancel. Oop, what just happened? Hit undo.
I don't know, but that didn't work, Yeah,
it sure didn't work.
Control Z.
Did you undo? All right, let's go back and, I see. See, it's supposed to be referencing tab 17. And what we wanted to do is reference tab 23. And what happened was you deleted the apostrophe. So just go in there and change the 17 to 23. Because we're trying to use tab 23.
I didn't think I did because I did that right there. And I don't know why
I see it also wrong. Hang on, escape. Go back in there again, because what we want to do is we got to change it to tab. We want tab 25, 24 to relate to 23, 23. So click in there again and change 17 to 23, and then change 20 to 23. Now we'll have it. So now what we're doing is referring back to the linked page. That should be tab 23, and the year should be 23. So change the 2020 to 2023, and that'll be perfect. Now, I admit this is kind of tough. Go ahead and hit enter. Blammo. See? Perfecto. Now click on 2023. Click on tab 23.
Not.
What?
Okay. It's not perfecto, but maybe, well, because it says $87.
That's true. It isn't. So, because, we don't want P. We don't want column P. All right, so this is where instead we're just going to go ahead and link it properly. I was trying to second guess the links, but I would go ahead there and hit equal sign and then go to the correct page and click on the value you want. So she's going to go to 2023 and click on the last monthly payment, and now that fixed that. Now we'll go to tab 23, please. And then we're going to go to column E, and we're going to link that to tab 21. I hope you guys are all watching this, and maybe you'll need to watch it 2 or 3 times. Clicking on tab 21, and then go to the last payment in that year. So what we're doing, you guys, is we're taking the last payment in the previous year and linking it to the first payment in the next year. That is done properly. So now I would change this as a new, I would save it right now as a new number, Dixie, and then we'll go to the summary and make sure everything came through properly. And then if it didn't, you guys, we're going to dump this sheet and go back to the other sheet and change every one of those by hand. And you can see that by adding a row and linking everything and formatting everything, it could take quite a while. And what we just did was we took the time, one sheet corrected one correction, changed 2 sheets, and the other correction changed 3 sheets. So now all we got to do is double check the totals. Everybody see it? That's the tutorial. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to click on something and double check values? So it comes down to this. You've learned 2 things on this tutorial. The first thing you learned is the difference between a shift click and a control click, right? The shift click creates a block. So if I click on a cell and I hold down the shift key and left click on another cell, everything between the first cell and the second cell, the one I click on last, will be highlighted. And well, that's the truth if I click on cells in a row or click on cells in a column, or click on cells across columns in multiple rows. A shift click always creates a block. A control click, the second thing we learned is a control click only affects the cell that you're clicking on. So you can click randomly on any cell or any tab, and whichever one you click on is the only one that's affected, and then you can do format changes with control click. The third thing you learned was the control click applies to tabs. And so now you can control click on tabs, and control clicking on tabs allows you to change multiple sheets in one stroke. And then all you have to do is go back into each of those individual sheets and make sure that all your formulas are integrous, but it's a lot better than having to reformat everything and check every freaking number and add every freaking formula. I think that's what we learned. Does anybody have any questions on that? Can I clarify that in any way? Beautiful.
Towards the very beginning. Towards the very beginning, if you're going to set up a new business, would you anticipate right from the get-go having multiple sheets that are all identical?
Yeah. If you're doing a pro forma, Scott, and you're going to set up your business for 1 year, and you say, well, I could go build a new sheet for each year, but then I'd be doing all the formatting, all the formulas, and it'd drive me crazy. So what I can do is I can build one sheet, and then I can right-click. In fact, do you want to do this, Dixie, without finishing the function, but right-click on any one of those tabs? If I right-click on any one of those tabs, anyone, just right-click on it. Yeah, right-click. You see there, it says Move or Copy. Click on Move or Copy. We're not going to complete this because we don't want to do it. But now you click on the bottom left-hand corner. It says Create a Copy. And now I can put a copy of that spreadsheet anywhere I want to. If this were a brand new spreadsheet, there'd only be one sheet. And I would just say, okay, I'd say copy it, and I would click in the exact position where I wanted to copy it. And I could do that 4 or 5 times and create 5 separate sheets. Do you want to hit Escape now or hit the X, Dixie? Now, Scott, to continue the answer to your question, if I built my first spreadsheet for my first year of operation, I may want to create several blank rows underneath each category so that if I have any changes in future years, I have slots to put them in. And then if I've maxed all that out and if I want to make a master change, I can always come back and I can either shift click on all the tabs or control click on the tabs which I want to select, and then I can make format changes on those particular sheets. Remembering that if I change one sheet only, I can't do global changes everywhere. So, you know, to whatever degree a global change is going to be helpful to you, that's the, you want to keep that precaution in mind. Good question, Scott. Anything else?
No, that's all I had. That's awesome.
Good. Cool. I think we're pretty much done. I think what Dixie's going to do now is just double check each of those totals and make sure that they're all right for each of the expenses. And then she's going to go back to the summary page where all those things are in there. And now, having a $5,000 capital expense in year 2020 and wanting to borrow that from the lender, that's going to appear in the capital expenditures for the loan amount. And then having the monthly payment every year thereafter, then that monthly payment is going to be added into the cash flow to determine what her monthly and therefore her annual cash flow will be each month, having gotten the loan to make those capital expenditures and having spent those capital expenditures then to create whatever monthly income that's there. I hope that made sense, and I wish that...
Actually, I did just think of one more thing too, based on tonight's activity. If something comes out of the stimulus money, do you automatically have a column set up prepared to administer that, or is that something you want to do?
You could. Yeah, you might want to do that. And so then Dixie would have to go in and add a row in the appropriate sheets, and she could follow exactly what we just did tonight. The first thing to do is to see which sheets are exactly the same. We discovered that year 20 and year 21 were exactly the same. Then we also discovered that 22 was different than 20 and 21, but we also discovered that 23 and 24 were exactly the same as 22. So we had to make the changes with two different actions. And if you started changing your sheets to be practical and not make global changes because you didn't want to take the time to double check everything, you'd have to go in and modify each sheet that you wanted to add that special thing into. So good question. Can you think of another question, Scott?
No, I think I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Wonderful.
Okay. So if this is the case, let's see, we started
okay, you guys.
5/1/2020 with payments.
Yeah. Now look, what Dixie is doing
paid
here,
off a little quicker.
Wow.
Down here.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
So let me explain this to everybody. In her spreadsheet, in her pro forma, she has an amortization schedule so that when she plugs in the loan amounts, go ahead and click on the summary sheet if you could, so that we know what the loan summary is. There it is. So when she clicks in those loan amounts and adjusts all those things, which are quite complicated, but she can put down, like, let me show you on line 45. Do you see that yellow area on line 45? Dixie has determined that she has excess discretionary cash flow of $15,000 for that year. And that $15,000 extra discretionary cash flow can be used to pay the lender extra money. So in order to make this a 5-year loan instead of a 10-year loan, she's starting out with one payment, and in year 2, she's increasing the payment by $15,000 for that year. Do you see that? Which amounts to $1,250 a month. And then in year 2022, she's increasing the payment by $5,000. She says she has an extra $5,000 discretionary income because look, if you look on line 49, she's got $884 worth of extra cash flow that year, discretionary. In year 2022, in column F, she's got $1,800, $1,894. In year 2022, $1,804. In year 23, $1,334. In year 24, she has $1,544. Extra money. And so that's still having taken $15,000 that year and prepaid on the principal. So how does prepaying the principal affect the balance of the loan payoff to the lender? Well, I've helped Dixie build a spreadsheet in here that does that. There's your note amortization with a graduated payment. And if you want to go to the top of that, we're on line 38 right now. If you'll hit a control home and go to the top. Good. So there's your balance of the loan. There's the interest rate. There's the term of the year. See, the original term was anticipated for 10 years. But my goal was to say, well, when is it paid out? Well, her goal is to pay out in 5 years, as noted on line 7 or 8 there, right next to month 10. You see that? Paid in 5 years. That's her goal. So she's making a regular amortized payment of $2,353 in the first year. And if you look in column H, there's $2,353. That's the normal amortized payment. Okay? Now, she determined by looking at the summary sheet that she had extra money, that she had a huge cash flow in year 2 of $15,000 more than she needed. So go back to the summary sheet, please, and we'll show them how we saw that. You see, we calculated up, and we looked at the normal payments, and we thought, see, look at up on line 37. Line 37, we've got a cash flow here of $16,000, and she's saying, well, I don't need to spend all that money. Let's pay back the lender early. Well, how much are we going to pay back the lender? So she goes down to line 46, and she said, I'm going to pay back that lender $15,000 because all we need is $1,894 shown in line 49. You see that? And if you plug in the $15,000, it calculates for you what the monthly payment increase is, $1,250. And then it tells you how much the total monthly payment will be, including the $2,354 from the previous year. Look on line 47. Add to it the $1,250. That's the prorated amount from the $15,000, and it now gives you a total payment of $3,604. Now let's go look at the amortization, and we want to make sure that at the beginning of year 2, we're adding $1,250 to the payment. Oh, and look, there it is. And look, it's a relative value. Where did the $1,250 come from? It refers back to the sheet. It's actually referring to that cell, 47. So whatever was calculated there will automatically be reflected into this spreadsheet. Is that major freaking cool? That is major freaking cool. In fact, we should do it. This will not only be called tutorial, this thing is going to be called How to Pay Off a 10-Year Loan in 5 years. Wasn't it a 10-year, was that a 10-year amortized payment to start with? Hit control home again.
Yes, it was. All right,
okay.
Control
okay.
home.
Yeah, if you hit control home again, it'll tell up there that we plugged in a 10-year amortization. See that, you guys? Right there, she's highlighting it. We could have picked any number. What number did we pick? We picked a number that Dixie could afford. If she couldn't afford $2,353 the first year, we would have picked a 15-year amortization. And go ahead and plug in 15 years there if you want to. We'll change it back. And then notice with a 15-year amortization, the payment drops down to $2,000. Well, if she could afford that, she would have kept it at $2,000. But it will still pay out in 5 years. So let's change it back to 10. Or it possibly could pay out in 5 years, depending on how much she graduated the payment. And because she had less of a payment the first year, that would give her more discretionary income in the next year, which would have given her more money to prepay on it the second year. So you have to kind of work it like a seesaw. Dixie had to look at this each year and say, what am I spending each year? How much discretionary income do I have at the end of each year? And how much can I afford to put in to prepay this payment? You all got it? How to pay a 10-year amortization in 5 years. This is called, this is beautiful because when I teach graduated payments, which is one of your case studies, if you subscribe to the education that I teach, if you're a consultant, you learn how to do all this. Dixie is a paid subscriber, and so I've spent extra time with her working all these formulas and teaching all these concepts, and now she's teaching me stuff because she's discovering stuff about her property that she found out because she became so intimate with each detail. Now, if you want to look, and Dixie, you kind of scroll through that very quickly. Maybe you have a goal in mind here, but if you look, you'll see there's a change each year, and if you click on the each year, there's the 1166. Click on the 1156. If you look, it's linked up to that value on line 46 for that next year. You see that? So automatically, when she plugs in discretionary income, it automatically computes how much that is per month and shoves it into the payment. Got it? And then all she has to do is look down at the bottom like you were doing, Dixie. Go ahead and scroll down. And she said with delight, my gosh, we made this change and it's still paid out in a 5-year period. Isn't that interesting? It goes to 0 right there. You see on line 62, by the way, Dixie, did you, because before you showed us it had a couple months extra there, did you modify it?
Yeah, I did. I changed the amount here so it would give me, I really want to have a little more to put in savings every year for emergencies. So I changed it from 15 to 14. And so then it brings it closer to right at 5 years.
Right on.
I think I can leave the rest of this like it is. Change that to 14. So then my monthly payment would be 35. You know, it would increase from 23 to 35. Right here.
Good. You see how she did that,
and
you
then
guys?
Down, yeah.
I
need you to help me down here, though, because it needs to go to 0 on the line above now. So that I'll be paid off exactly in 5 years.
Okay.
From 5, I'll start payments in 5/1/2020, and I'll be through with payments 5/1/2025.
All right, you guys, I'm going to, maybe we can do it by you clicking. I was going to steal the COM, and I was going to show everybody how an amortization works, but I think we can do it by you clicking. Let me share this, guys. When you pay a interest-only loan, the principal balance stays the same every year, right? And you're just paying interest only. So if I have a loan and I'm paying interest only, at the end of the 5-year period, I owe the principal amount. But when I'm paying on an amortized payment, the amortized payment includes an amount of principal for that month. Okay, let's go to the top of this amortization schedule, and I think we can show everybody. So hit Control Home. Okay, good. So now you guys, look, we have a balance of $151,579 in D1. Go ahead and click on D1, Dixie. That's our loan balance. Now there you go, D is in David. Now we got that by going K2 because that's the amount listed over in our loan legend table over there, right? So we know the principal balance is that much money. Now the question is how much interest accrues on that? So click on E. Well, the interest that accrues is calculated by taking the principal balance in D, the amount of principal owed at the beginning of that year, multiplying it times the rate and dividing it by the number of periods in the year. And there's your monthly payment, so there's 12. Got it? So that means that the monthly interest that accrues on 151 is $1,768. Now, how much are we paying? Well, go ahead and click on principal paid in F. Principal paid in F. Column F. There you go. And look, it's a very complicated formula. This is an if-then formula because it has a test. If it's when it hits 0, it needs to change its value. But until then, it's a certain function. And how much is principal paid? It's very simple. Go ahead and click there, Dixie. It's on your payment on column H, where you're going to do in the first. You take that amount of payment, which is, by the way, the monthly payment shown over in the table. See there, K5? Put your cursor around K5 and show where the 2,300 is. Right in there. You see that, you guys? And it's saying we're going to pay that amount plus the amount that's in column G. Because we could start right off the bat by increasing the payment, but we're not going to. We're going to say the first payment is going to be that amount, which is computed as the normal amortized payment. Got it? So $151,000 at 14% for 10 years is $2,353. So that's what that payment is right there in H2. It's that monthly payment. Go ahead and click on H2. I'm sorry, H2, not H3. Good. So there we go. And because there's no balance in G, then the amount in column H is exactly the same as that calculated amortized payment. Now, if you take that payment of $2,353 and subtract from it the interest that accrued, which is $1,768, the amount of principal that's paid on that loan is that amount right there in column F. But what you're seeing there, you guys, go ahead and click on column F. What you're seeing there is a complicated formula that it says if D plus E is greater than E plus H, then H2 plus E2, otherwise it's D2. Never mind. It's a complicated formula. You have to think about it for a minute. And Dixie has thought all through that, and I've thought all through it and handed it to her. So now, you guys, you ready? That's how an amortized payment is paid. Now, let me share with you. With an amortized payment, the more principal you pay, the less interest accrues in the next monthly payment. How much principal was paid on this payment? $585. So what is the balance due? So click on D2. D2. That's D2. I'm sorry. I got it. It's D3. It's payment number 2, row 3. I'll remember that in the future. Look, it's D2 plus F2. So we take D2, which is the balance above, plus F2, the amount of principal that's, plus F2, and because that's negative, we're subtracting 585 from the balance of 151 in row 2. You see that in payment period number 1, row 2. And as a result, the balance in row 3, payment period number 2, is 151,000. Remember this, you guys. The more principal you pay, the less interest accrues. So now, Dixie, go ahead and click on column E in row 3. And look, the amount of interest that accrues there is $17.61. Look, it's $5 less than accrued in the previous year, the previous month. Why? Because principal was paid. And if you pay principal, it reduces the balance owed, which reduces the amount of interest owed. That, guess what? Means that more principal is paid in the next payment. So go ahead and click on F3. And look, there's $591. That's the amount of principal paid. Well, look, above was paid $585. Well, of course, because the more principal you pay, the less interest accrues. And so the less interest accrues, the more principal you pay. So every year for the first year, the amount of interest that you pay goes down and the amount of principal that you pay goes down. So column E goes down and column D goes down because column F goes up because the more principal you pay, the less interest accrues, so the more principal you pay. Do you see that? So now if you go down to line 13, row 13, I'm sorry, yeah, and you click on, yeah, good. And go ahead and click on the 144 down below that in column 14. So the beginning of year, at the end of year 1, the beginning of year 2, you owe $144,000. Why? Because you take the $144,089. Why? Because you owed $144,754, but because you paid because you paid $500 and I can't read the dadgum thing. $557.
Hey, Steve,
yeah.
Here's a problem.
Good. What's the problem?
Okay, so because we're starting our first payment in May.
Yeah.
The first of the year is when I'd really like for this payment to start.
Okay.
So I need to change that. You see what I'm saying?
Good. Yeah, I do. So when do you want it to start?
On 1/1/21.
Well, you can do that if you want to, and all you got to do is just
move it up, or
yeah, I would
Control X and then move, and then Control V.
Yeah, you could Control X and Control. Here's the trouble: if you Control X, what I would do is I'd click in there and copy the amount and paste it, and then I would come back and delete it because you don't want to switch any formulas around. The other formulas are going to look at that number and say, well, we're going to follow that number, and we don't want it to follow the number, so we're going to paste that in there. See, okay, good, and then go down to row 14 and delete it. Now, I don't know why you want to do that, Dixie, and I'll tell you why I don't think you want to do that. Because your other chart is made on a calendar year, is made on a financial year, not on a calendar year.
Oh, okay. Well,
right.
my brain only works like one way.
That's right. No, it's a good question.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay because, and we'll still finish off down here at the right time and 60 months instead of 62 months like it was before. So that's a good thing.
So does everybody understand the difference between a financial year and a calendar year? A calendar year begins on January 1, and a financial year lasts for 12 months. In a monthly payment loan, it lasts for 12 months after the date the loan was originated. And so she could have changed her payment on year 1, but our spreadsheet, our summary spreadsheet, is not built to calculate different periods in a year. So we're going to keep it to we're going to keep it to a financial year, because we're going to say it's 12 months. Now, if you look on the date on over there, go ahead and hit Control Home again. The date of the loan is going to be April 15th is what we're anticipating, but the first payment's going to begin on May 1st. You all see that? And I think that's actually calculated too in an if-then statement. Yeah, it's calculated off to the side over there in N, and in rows N I do this magical calculation so that it determines what the date is in column K, and it calculates relative to what's in column K. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I really love this spreadsheet. I actually built this spreadsheet back in the 80s, and I've used it every year since then. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, and I've made changes as we go because things change and I forget stuff. Now the bottom problem is we want the bottom of this spreadsheet to go to 0 at the right moment. And what's happened is here, if you look, guys, the payment that we're making on payment 60 on line 61, so go ahead and highlight line 60. Go ahead and highlight line 61. Sorry. The payment that we're making there is $4,800. You see that? And when we make that payment, all of a sudden we end up with a negative balance down there. Click on payment 61D or row 62D. You see that? In fact, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, Dixie, you could do that. Okay. That is the last amount of principal owed on the loan on April 1st. And if you look down on the next payment on May 1st, it's a negative number. Do you guys see that? Click on that 3,000. It's negative. Why is it negative? It's negative because the payment of $4,300 paid the $1,000 worth of principal, and it paid the $11 worth of interest. The payment of $43.53 actually overpays principal by $4,000, and there's only $1,000 worth of principal there. So what we're going to do, Dixie, is I want you to screw up the spreadsheet by moving into column F61. Okay, that's F62. Go to F line 61. There you go. All right. Now, instead of using that calculation, we're going to hit the equal sign.
Okay, equals.
And then click on that amount of principal over in column D, as in David. Good, hit enter. So we only want that last payment to be equal to the principal amount and the interest amount owed. So now come over to column H and click right there, and look. That is the one up above plus the additional, right? And what we're going to do is hit equals right there. And then we're going to click on the 1114 or the 1014. That one right there. Okay, hit enter. Okay, now it didn't quite go to 0, and the reason why is because click on F again. Oh, that's the principal paid. Okay, good. I'm sorry. Click on H. Good. Go ahead and click. Now we want the principal F61, right? But we also want the interest E61. So go plus E61. So now I had these set up in the day, back in the day, where it would automatically calculate this payment. And then what happens is now that should go to 0. Now, why didn't it? Okay, let's click on the formula on payment number 61 for the principal. 62D, click on 62D and see what that says. 62 David. And it says D61 plus F61. D61 plus F61. Okay, Ed needs to say plus, needs to say D61 plus F61. Yeah, because normally it takes the previous balance, and yeah, see, if that's D61 plus, oh, I see, you need to make that a minus. You need to make that a minus, Dixie. I'm sorry. So click in column F. Click in column F. F61 right there. Good. Click there. Now go up into the formula and make it a minus. That was the problem. Because principal paid is a minus in an amortization. Go ahead and hit enter. Good. So there's your minus, and then that makes it a 0 on payment 61. Do you all see that? So
and it also, can you hear me?
Yes.
I forget if I'm on mute or not. Okay, so it also makes this an inconsistent formula, so you just ignore that error because that line's going to be different than all the rest, right?
Right, right on. And now you can delete line 62 if you want to, or you can leave it there just to show that there's 0, 0, 0 all the way across. There you go, guys. You got it? This is the most profound principle of real estate, you guys. This is what real estate is all about. This is how Dixie is going to be a millionaire. Is because she's learning how to take a monthly cash flow that otherwise might be spent frivolously because it's $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month. She might think, oh, crud, I have an extra $4,000 a month here. I can go to Hawaii. Well, why not pay down that loan, get that investor paid out so the investor wants to pay in? So now she's looking for an investor with roughly 160 grand who wants to be in for 5 years. So if you know any investors, go ahead and hit Control Home. Let's tell them the exact loan amount. We're looking for an investor who wants to loan $151,579. And if you know of an investor who has $151,000 and wants to earn 14% on that money over a 5-year period and get their money back in 5 years, then do it. Now let me share with you one more thing why this is so cool. How many investors today are making 14% on their money? In fact, I would bet you that if Dixie waited 6 months to get this loan, she could drop that interest rate down to 7% because everybody would be scrambling to try to make 7% on their money. Because the stock market is going to go ape crazy. People are going to be losing capital month after month after month. People are going to be going crazy saying, how do I preserve my capital? And any investor who moves into this investment right now locks that 150 grand up to make 14% a year. And guess what? Let's say there's a downturn in the market and Dixie can't pay a prepay on this loan, and she can't afford to pay that extra 15 grand a year. Well, guess what? She's going to come back to the investor and say, I need to renegotiate this loan. In fact, Dixie, write this down. You need to put this clause in your loan agreement that in lieu of a force majeure, that you have the right to lower the payment to a fully amortized payment. So that would mean the longest this investor would be in would be 10 years. So if the market sucks, this investor gets guaranteed 10 years on this 14% or whatever percent she locks in. And I think, Dixie, if you waited 6 months, you could probably put this loan out at 7%. The trouble is you can't wait 6 months because you have an opportunity that needs to happen now. That's why Dixie would be willing to pay 14%. It's because she has an opportunity cost. And if she doesn't get this money and give somebody a really healthy guarantee, it's not guaranteed because no real estate investment is guaranteed, but she's got a cash cow here. Over the last month and a half, people are moving into her project without even advertising. Why? Because they're trying to get the lowest possible rent. This property is going to be the gold bar property for years and years. And if the interest rates ever go above 14%, the investor is going to be really mad because they're going to say, oh, dadgum, I'm locked in at 14%. I could be earning 16. But guess what? If they jump in right now, they're going to avoid a year of crap. They're going to preserve their capital.
Right. And really, you know, this can be renegotiated. I mean, if the stock market goes up, you know, in like next year, the year after that, as it's paid down and the investor's not making as much money, I can refinance really easy. I could probably finance right now through the Small Business Administration, but there's that one little
there's just a couple of
that.
There's a couple of improvements that Dixie needs to make on this property in order to make it rock solid. And when that investor comes in with 160 grand, earning the 14%, makes it rock solid. She stabilizes all of the variables, and life is good. Yep.
In lieu of a force majeure, what? I'm taking notes.
Okay. In lieu of a force majeure, you have the right to pay a 10-year amortized payment. To reduce the monthly payment, in lieu of a force majeure, you have the right to reduce the monthly payment in line with cash flow. Got it? Reduce the monthly payment in line with cash flow. However, the payment will not be lower than a 10-year amortized payment of blank. Got it?
Okay. Gotcha.
And I would like...
the thing is, this is, I mean, in an economic downturn, this is where people want to live. They're not, this RV park is special because people come to live here. I mean, we'll make it available for people to come and go. We certainly already have, you know, we have weekly rates and monthly rates, daily rates even, but I think we'll be full like most every other RV park in this area is full except for one that's brand new, which is this Granbury RV Resort, and it's more of a resort type park and more it's kind of in the country between Granbury and Glen Rose. But the rest of these are full. There's no room for anybody. You know,
until you make more places, right? When you make
we're gonna make more places. I'm just saying our comparables are already full up.
Yeah, and when she gets this capital, she's going to be able to put in more pads and make more spaces. And right now, she has people that are moving out of these projects to move into her project because her project is more has more amenities and has nicer people in it than these projects.
So here's what. Here is the Countryside, Sunnyside. They just changed ownership, but this is probably our most comparable place. I mean, we're 8.5 acres, and they're 7.5 acres, but they are full. They have storage. They're the most like us. Their tax assessment is 403,470. Our tax assessment hasn't turned commercial yet, so this is a residential tax assessment on the 8.5 acres. So we have one more acre, and I think we're gonna, you know, I think that if we wanted to turn around and we wanted to fix all this up and turn around and flip it, we could parlay pretty good. You know, sell it to somebody. That's one of my exit strategies, but it's not what I want to do. It's just only if we had to, we could. We could sell it and everybody'd be happy. No, I would like to make, you know, I really want some long-term, you know, some mailbox money. That's my goal eventually, to be able to, this thing will run like it's supposed to, just, you know, it'll run like a fine-tuned clock, and I'll just be in touch and making sure everything's going good, and Martin runs the place, and we're gonna, you know, we'll both be happy.
Wow. I'll tell you. How do I explain to somebody what kind of education you've had here, Dixie, because this is amazing. I mean, if I tell somebody, I'll show you how to build a 5-year pro forma, including an amortization schedule with a graduated payment, and how to fund capital improvement. I mean, everything that you have done here is so amazing. The way you have this, you understand this at a kernel level. You've dealt with elements that are so complicated. Most people, their heads would be swimming. And I think at first you were kind of swimming, but now you're coming along, finding new things. Oh, this can be tweaked this way. This can be tweaked that way, right? And so how do I tell somebody about this? It's impossible. I wish I could wave a magic wand and say how to make $1 million in 5 minutes. Nope. This is how to make $1 million in the next 5 years. That's what this is. Because I think this project will be worth $1 million in 5 years. Dixie? I think it will
I
be.
do too. Once we, oh, that's what I was going to go to anyway. Is
Your
you know,
competition is already tax assessed at 400 grand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and when you get done with your improvements, you're going to make them look stupid, and you have good management. Plus, you have other amenities. Dixie's partner is a horse trainer, and the property allows for horses and other animals. So they have storage for animals, and if you board your horse on this property, Martin's going to go out there and teach that horse how to fetch newspapers like a dog.
Yeah, well, okay, or at least ride well, you know.
At least ride well. Ask Martin if he could get a horse to fetch a newspaper, and then you'd really have something to toot about. Okay.
Oh, look, I have to change my numbers again over here. But yeah, okay,
cool.
so here's our, on the left, you know, our RV park. Here's Martin's cows. We're boarding 3 horses right now. And animal boarding, horse training. Oh, my thing is off too. Huh? So, and we have storage, indoor and outdoor storage. But my little deal here.
Any questions from anybody? Julie, you've been a tiger. You're hanging on here. I hope that you've had fun with this, because I think you used to do spreadsheets back in the old days. And I think that, did you learn anything today? Was there anything new on how to edit a spreadsheet? Or did you already know this stuff?
Are you asking Julie?
Yeah, I'm asking Julie. You knew spreadsheets, right?
不会.
Yeah, 不会.
You know your
That's
Chinese,
you guys.
我不会,
That's Mandarin
我不会.
Chinese. No problem, right? 不会, no problem, right?
Well, as you know, a lot of it I understand, and then I don't understand because of my brain. So
I gotcha. Okay,
but that's why
cool.
I listen, because it's very good for me listening, because over and over I almost cry all the time because, oh my God, I can't do that anymore. I don't even understand that, you know. But yeah, it's true.
I tell you. Listen, Julie, I laughed because you're such a hero, honestly.
You're so sweet.
You know, no, really, listen, Julie, a lot of people have trouble in their life and they let it get them down. And you've kind of looked at it like, well, I'm reincarnated. I was this way before, and now I'm this way. What can I do with myself? You know what I'm saying? And you're kind of smiling and saying, how many people can look at themselves and see such a change and not be judgmental and not be discouraged? You're just special, Julie. You're special.
I think you're correct. Yeah, I think you're correct, because that's what I say to other people. I go see young students all the time.
Yeah.
And even some friends who come over, but I just say, you know, really the worst thing about people who want to kill themselves, or people who had my problem, they would have killed themselves a long time ago. And what is the difference is that they're being very selfish, and it's stupid to themselves, and very bad to everybody else that really do love you. And what is the first thing you have to do?
Yeah.
Number one, what is the first thing? First thing is,
I gotta love myself.
Love yourself. Absolutely.
Exactly right.
And
Jesus said it, and nobody gets it.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Love yourself first.
Yeah.
And then always take care of everybody else.
That's right. And I can only love you as much as I love myself. And and a lot of people, when they look at people who have a special ability or a special disability, whatever they want to call it, when they look at that, they judge and they feel pity, they feel pride, they feel disgust, they feel all sorts of things, and they don't feel love. And when I've learned to love myself exactly the way I am, with all of my faults and with all of my gifts, I learned to appreciate others at a much more deep level. And so, Julie,
I have a question like, my goodness, all these incredible things you understand, and you're teaching, you're telling people, and all this stuff, and you talk so quickly, and da-da-da-da. What if you suddenly couldn't? What if you suddenly, your brain, because that's what happened to my brain, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
The things I used to be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking
Julie,
very well now.
You are talking very well now.
I
the
am
last,
talking
the
very
few
well.
sentences, you've been amazing.
Well,
Because,
no,
yeah,
there's a thing I want to say because part of me laughed. The other parts I'm pissed off, but part of them I
Yeah.
laugh because I'm so normal seeming that I talk. Now that
Yeah.
people are starting to yell at me, but I just told you 2 times. I just told,
yeah,
yeah, I don't understand. So I'm happy that I
it's so
seem
funny.
very normal now. And I would
Yeah.
say that to you, I seem very normal, but I still
Yeah, you
can't.
do.
I can read very, very slowly.
Yeah.
And so I still can't read an entire
Right.
anything important like for,
Right. Well, and let me say that about this. When someone sees someone who stutters when they talk, they think they're mentally deficient. And when someone sees someone who speaks eloquently, they think that person's smart. And how smart that person is or how efficient or deficient they are has nothing to do with their speech. And so it's so difficult to judge somebody. Right now, we are being politically manipulated in our country because we think somebody's smart. We think somebody has an answer. And,
that's right.
And that's crazy. To think that a person who stutters or can't find a word is stupid is just as dumb as thinking the person who does say a word is smart. That's why I say, Julie, you are my hero. And I want to say, you are talking even 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Because, Julie, we knew each other like 5 or 8 years ago. How long ago was it?
Well, actually, it's been 7, I would say.
7 years.
2013. 2013.
And can I?
Go ahead.
And can I brag about you a little bit?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so Julie is this translator. Like, she goes Chinese, Japanese. How many other languages did you know?
Well, okay. I always learned Japanese first when I was young, even though I could hear English around me from my father and my mother once in a while.
Yeah.
So then it was, because my mother's French, so then she started making her 2 children, me and my older sister, when we went to Cambodia in that area, left Japan, she started to make sure we would learn French.
Yeah.
So then it was the French and English started coming out as the next one. And then Chinese from my father.
And then Chinese.
And he's not Chinese, he's American, but he learned Chinese when he was young for America during the Second World War. He was taken in Harvard, the hospital, college, where they took people who are very good for languages. They took my father to learn Chinese to be able to do for the, what is it called? I wish I could
Diplomatic services? Diplomatic services?
He was being sent to the few people who know some Chinese and learn all about horses, because they were being sending them to India area and go on a plane to go to China, go into China by, how do you go down off of a plane?
Parachute.
Yes.
Parachute off of a plane?
He would have been one of the people on the plane to go to China that way. And then he would need to have horse to then go through China in that area to go against the Japanese. The Japanese going into China. Yeah. So anyways, never mind. There's a lot to say about that. So I learned Chinese. My dad was very good about Chinese and taught me when I was very young and heard it all the time when I was very tiny. Yeah. So all I can say is those are the four languages: Japanese, English, French, Chinese.
Yeah, and Chinese and Japanese are not anything like French and English. I mean, and so each one of those is unique. And not only that, but Julie was a very excellent singer. I mean, here was a lady that was on the top of everything, had everything at her command, and suddenly had a brain issue, and then just had to completely readjust, and had to learn how to love herself as she is today. not as she thinks she ought to be. And that's a real credit. That's a real credit, Julie. It's been my honor to know you these years and been my privilege to talk with you. And really your language improvement since when we talked 2 years ago is really good. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we've had a great time today, and Dixie stopped sharing on her screen. So before we go, I want to do one more thing. You guys can learn from the coronavirus. The virus spreads 8,000 cases from January 21st to March 22nd. And this is the last report. And look, it little humped along. You can barely see anything down along here, and then it went like that. I saw that, and I said, my gosh, that's a compounding curve. And what we did is we took a penny, and we compounded it every day for 30 days. And look at that compounding curve. That's amazing.
You're not sharing, Steve.
Oh, I'm not sharing? What
No.
happened? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Scott, for being my sergeant at arms here. So here we go. Here's the coronavirus, 8,000 cases starting from 0. And here's compound. This is 1 penny compounded in over 30 days, but it's compounded 100%. And the question is, would you rather start investing with 1 penny, or would you rather start investing with $1,000? And I do a comparison chart on the 1 penny and $1,000, and I can show you that over here, because up here it shows the comparison chart. If you get $1,000 a day for 30 days, you end up with $30,000. And if you end up with 1 penny and start with a penny, but you learn how to compound it, you have $5 million at the end of 30 days. Interestingly, because on the 21st day, you have $21,000 and you have $10,000. But the compounding, it starts out just like a virus, you guys. And it isn't, how do I make 100% compound interest? It's learning how to be in a space where you get compound return on your money. And one of those answers is invest in Dixie's project and start earning 14% on your money when the stock market's going down and everything's going down. And so I think this is wonderful. I think what I'm going to do is take this number here, and I'm going to put it down here. And then I'm just constantly tweaking my little chart here. So this is life. So the idea is you want to be like the virus. And so right now, to help defeat the virus, we want to avoid the hump here. We want to have protective measures. But if you're in real estate, you don't want protective measures. You want to get out there and make offers. And when you're making offers in real estate, you don't want to use a fishing pole. You want to use a fishing net, right? Don't just make one offer, make many, because you're only going to buy 1 out of 4 or 5 properties. But when you find a juicy one like Dixie did, where the owner did not know how to structure financing, and Dixie went in and helped this guy go through all sorts of legal problems, helped him through all sorts of his things, and now she's become his partner, and she trusts him and says, wow, I want to train horses. I don't want to do the rest. And so this is the opportunity that a lender has to participate. So, and I call it flat. We don't want to flatten the curve. We want to hump the curve, right? We want to pump the curve. Pump the curve. All righty. I have a lot of fun. I don't know why. All right, you guys. 4 of you still left, but others are going to get the recording. Dixie, you're my hero. Julie, you're my hero. Scott, you're my hero for just hanging in here for all this time. Good for you, Scott.
You know me. I'd love to learn stuff. It's
good.
You know, and Julie, I'm amazed. I mean, you're just listening to you tonight. You know, compared to a couple of years ago, is amazing. Doing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I can only hope to do that with Mandarin someday.
我也会，所以我有 I can teach the Chinese to you. Absolutely. Yes.
Sounds good.
Yes.
And knows how fluent she is in Chinese. And when she translated that to English, it was kind of, stop and go. Isn't that interesting? The brain is a miracle thing, Julie. The brain is a miracle thing.
Oh, I do a lot. That's why, because it's very hard and taking very slow to get things back. But all I do takes a lot of time. YouTube. Thank God to YouTube.
Well,
Really?
I tell you, well, thank you. It takes one to know one. That's what I always say. So we must be birds of a feather at some level, some way, somehow. And I'm honored to know you. I'm honored to know you. All right, everybody.
Scott, I just now I'm seeing your question here, but yeah, you just set up the multiple sheets and then fill in the blanks, basically. Add to as you go on
Right.
the other years.
That's what I had asked Steve a while back too, and he kind of answered that already. But yeah, that was good. I was figuring that, you know, if I had a business, it's probably just as well to set it up initially with multiple years. I mean, with the premise that you're going to go, you know, a few years into your business and not just drop out after one. So, I mean, it's always easier to create. I would think it's easier to create global sheets than it is to go back and correct it afterwards.
It is, but
absolutely.
It is, but we didn't start that way. So.
Right. No, that's why it was interesting watching all this tonight. But I was just thinking in the future it might be easier to and I didn't even know you could do that until tonight. Do global sheets. So this was awesome.
Good. All right, guys.
All righty.
It's my privilege to be with you guys. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And
thank you, Steve.
You betcha. And Dixie, you're doing a great job. You guys are my heroes. You betcha. Thanks all. See you soon.
All righty. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.